Rectangle pizza. Born in American school cafeterias in the 1980s when lunch ladies needed to feed hundreds of kids quickly and cheaply. The genius was in the shape. Rectangular pans meant no wasted dough in corners like round pizzas had. The crust was thick and bready, almost focaccia-like, because it had to hold up under heat lamps for hours without getting soggy. The cheese wasn't mozzarella in most schools. It was a processed cheese blend that melted uniformly and didn't get greasy when it sat. The sauce was sweet, almost ketchup-like, because tomato paste was cheaper than actual pizza sauce, and kids preferred it sweeter anyway. Traditionalists insist the edges must get slightly crispy and dark brown. That's where the flavor was. The pizza got cut into perfect squares, usually 12 per pan, and served with a side of canned corn or green beans. Some schools added pepperoni, but the classic version was just cheese, and that's what kids remember. That slightly rubbery cheese pulling away from the crust in one piece, the sweet sauce, and the dense, chewy bread underneath. Chicken tenders. These originated in the 1990s when schools started shifting away from mystery meat and toward recognizable protein. The locals argue about which food service company invented the perfect cafeteria tender first. The classic school lunch chicken tender uses mechanically separated chicken formed into strips, breaded with a seasoned coating that turned golden under industrial ovens. They weren't hand-breaded. They came frozen in massive bags, pre-cooked and ready to heat. The breading had a specific texture, not quite crunchy like restaurant tenders, but with a slight crackle that gave way to soft interior. The chicken inside was uniform and mild, never dry because the processing added moisture. Some schools baked them, others fried them in those massive fryers. Either way, the contrast between the seasoned breading and the tender chicken is what made it work. They were served with tiny packets of honey mustard, BBQ sauce, or ranch dressing, though ranch was the clear favorite. Kids would hoard the sauce packets, using 3 or 4 per tender, and the sauce was often more anticipated than the chicken itself. Sloppy Joes. The name literally means messy sandwich, and this style comes from the Depression era, when schools needed to stretch ground beef as far as possible. Sloppy Joes are all about mixing ground beef with sweet tomato sauce until it's saucy and loose enough to spill everywhere. Traditional cafeteria Sloppy Joes are cooked in industrial-sized pots, and every lunch lady had her own ratio of meat to sauce. You could get it served on hamburger buns, though the cheap, soft kind that immediately absorbed the sauce and fell apart in your hands. The meat was basic. Ground beef browned with onions if you were lucky, seasoned simply with salt and pepper. The sauce was the star, ketchup-based, sweetened with brown sugar, maybe some Worcestershire sauce for depth. The mixture simmered until it was thick enough to stay on the bun, but wet enough to drip down your arms. It was scooped onto buns with an ice cream scoop for portion control, creating that distinctive mounded shape. In some schools, they called it a manwich after the canned sauce brand. The key was getting enough napkins because eating it without making a mess was impossible, and that was part of the experience. Mashed potatoes and gravy. This is the side dish you'll find at every cafeteria across America, and it's been a staple since school lunches became standardized. Cafeteria mashed potatoes weren't made from scratch. They came from massive boxes of instant potato flakes mixed with hot water and margarine. The texture was unnaturally smooth, almost paste-like, with 0 lumps. They were piped onto trays using an ice cream scoop, creating perfect round mounds that held their shape. The gravy was the crucial component, brown gravy from powder mixed with water, heated until it thickened. It wasn't fancy, usually beef or turkey flavored, though what actual meat was involved was questionable. The gravy got ladled over the potatoes, creating a crater in the center where it pooled. Some lunch ladies were generous with the gravy, drowning the potatoes. Others were stingy, giving just enough to coat the top. The potatoes were bland on their own, intentionally so, because the gravy was salty enough to compensate. Kids would mix in whatever else was on their tray. Corn, peas, even chicken tenders got dipped. The combination was pure comfort, warm, starchy, salty, and filling. It was cheap to make and universally accepted by kids who were picky eaters. Macaroni and cheese. Cafeteria mac and cheese came in 2 forms, and which version your school served defined your entire childhood. The baked version used elbow macaroni mixed with cheese sauce, spread in hotel pans, and baked until the top formed a golden crust. The cheese wasn't real cheddar, it was processed cheese sauce from giant cans, bright orange, and aggressively salty. When it baked, the top layer would get slightly crispy and darker orange, while the inside stayed creamy. The other version was stovetop, macaroni mixed with that same cheese sauce, but served immediately without baking. So it was looser, saucier, and didn't have the crispy top. Both versions used the same government-issued pasta and cheese, but the texture difference was huge. Baked mac and cheese had distinct layers: crispy top, creamy middle, slightly dry bottom where it touched the pan. Stovetop was uniform throughout, coating every piece of macaroni in bright orange sauce. The cheese had that distinctive processed flavor, salty, slightly tangy, with none of the sharpness of real cheddar. It cooled quickly on the tray, the sauce thickening as it sat. Kids either loved it or hated it, but everyone remembers it. That specific shade of orange, the way it stuck to the roof of your mouth, and how it was somehow both dry and creamy at the same time. Pizza burgers. These hybrid creations started appearing in Midwestern school cafeterias in the 1980s when lunch ladies got creative with commodity ingredients. Pizza burgers use hamburger buns topped with tomato sauce, mozzarella cheese, and sometimes pepperoni, then baked until the cheese melted. They weren't grilled like regular burgers. They went into the oven open-faced, so the cheese could bubble and brown. The buns got slightly crispy on the edges, while the bottom stayed soft from absorbing sauce. The sauce was the same sweet pizza sauce used on rectangular pizza, spooned onto each bun half. The cheese was shredded mozzarella, or that processed pizza cheese blend, sprinkled generously and melted until it browned in spots. Pepperoni was optional, usually the pre-sliced kind that cupped and got crispy around the edges. Some schools added ground beef beneath the sauce, making them actual burgers with pizza toppings. Others skipped the meat entirely, making them vegetarian by default. They were served open-faced, never closed into a sandwich, because the toppings would slide off. Kids ate them with forks or picked them up carefully, the cheese stretching into long strings. The combination hit all the right notes. Familiar pizza flavors on bread that was easier to eat than pizza crust, handheld but messy, simple but satisfying. Italian dunkers. Italian dunkers emerged in the late 1990s when schools started looking for interactive lunch options that made cafeteria food fun. They were breadsticks, not the thin, crispy kind from restaurants, but thick, soft breadsticks made from pizza dough. The dough was rolled into logs, brushed with garlic butter, sometimes sprinkled with Parmesan cheese, and baked until golden. They came out soft and pillowy with a slight garlic butter sheen. The crucial component was the marinara sauce for dipping, the same sweet pizza sauce served warm in small plastic cups. The breadsticks were served in sets of 3 or 4, arranged on the tray with the dipping cup in the center. Kids would dunk the breadsticks into the sauce, coating them completely, then eat them in big bites. The fun was in the dipping. It made lunch interactive and gave kids control over how much sauce they wanted. The breadsticks were bland without the sauce, intentionally so, because the sauce was aggressively seasoned. Some schools added mozzarella cheese inside the breadsticks, creating a cheese-filled version that stretched when you pulled it apart. The garlic butter made your fingers greasy, and the sauce inevitably dripped onto the tray. They were messy, fun, and different enough from regular cafeteria fare to feel special. They showed up on menus alongside other fun lunches and became a favorite specifically because they were interactive. Walking tacos. Walking tacos appeared in school cafeterias in the early 2000s, borrowed from concession stands at sporting events where people needed to eat while walking. The concept was brilliantly simple. Instead of building tacos on plates, you cut open a small bag of Fritos or Doritos, added taco meat and toppings directly into the bag, gave kids a fork, and let them eat straight from the bag. The bottom layer was the chips, usually Fritos corn chips, because they were sturdier and held up better to hot meat. The bag got cut open lengthwise with scissors, creating a boat-shaped vessel. Seasoned ground beef went in first, scooped in while still hot, so it warmed the chips and started melting the cheese. Shredded cheddar cheese followed, melting slightly from the beef's heat. Then came shredded lettuce, diced tomatoes, and a dollop of sour cream. Some schools added salsa or taco sauce packets on the side. Kids would crush the chips slightly before opening the bag, creating smaller pieces that mixed better with the toppings. The eating process was chaotic, stabbing into the bag with plastic forks, trying to get chips, meat, and toppings in each bite. The chips on the bottom got soggy from the meat's grease and moisture, while the ones on top stayed crunchy. The bag contained the mess, making cleanup easier for cafeteria staff. Walking tacos became popular because they were fun, portable, and kids could customize them by adding more or less of each topping. They felt like a treat, something you'd get at a football game, not a regular lunch, and that novelty made them special.